What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Halving Report podcast. I am your host, Brad Mines. The price of Bitcoin is $85,000 US, and there's 3 years left until the Bitcoin halving, 1 year anniversary from the 2024 halving. Today, I am graced with the presence of Northern Thailand Bitcoin boss, Jimmy Kostro. Just so happy to be back here, and we're, like I said, about 3 years away from the next Bitcoin halving. The price of Bitcoin today is 85. When we recorded in January, Jimmy, the price was 95. How you feeling today?
Feeling good. Wow. Already, how many months has it been? 3 months?
It's been about 3 months. Yeah, we recorded right in the new year. We just finished Songkran, big Thailand festival, which I was unaware about before coming on out here, and everyone kept building it up. Songkran, Songkran, Songkran. What are you doing for Songkran? And we just went through that. We had the holidays affecting businesses, closing businesses. So my first question to you is, how did Songkran affect you and what you're doing, and just Bitcoin Thailand in general?
This is your first Songkran, right? So just to give the audience an idea of what it is, the entire country stops for like 3 days, 3 legit holidays, and it's a water fight everywhere in the country. So it's just totally crazy. And that happened to be Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So people have off on Saturday and Sunday. So it's quite a long holiday. It almost feels like Christmas in the West or something, like a long break where you get like Christmas to New Year's. But so for us, we got a lot going on. So as soon as Songkran was over, we immediately had meetings and stuff. And so I'm so glad that, because this is pretty much almost immediately following, that we're able to get this in and talk today. I wonder, this was your first time. Could you tell me a little bit about your experience in this?
Yeah, it's wild that everybody is just soaking wet for multiple days on end. I can only do a couple of stints out there, and then after being soaked for a couple of hours, it's almost a little bit too much. I can only be soaked for a couple of hours before I got to retreat in, take a nice hot shower, and just get back into my rhythm of things. But it is really cool. It's an awesome way to meet people. Everyone's screwing each other with guns. I never experienced anything like that. It's a super fun party, and I feel like I wish Canada did something like this too. But I remember one guy I think he was from United Kingdom, had said, if this was happening back home, people would be like stabbing each other or something like it. It's just that everyone's got such a great mindset out here.
It brings a lot of money into the city too, and you see a lot of locals that are offering things on the side of the road. I mean, it's kind of wild to see families on motorbikes, like a family of 4 on a scooter, just buckets getting drenched on them, and the kids are playing, and that's a cool, a really fun thing. Whereas from North America, we'd be like, liability mania, this is insane, there's no way we could do this. So it's just a totally different world, and everyone's getting along. Everyone just stops to party and play, and it's really, really nice to experience if you've never been here.
So my first actually witnessing of somebody getting soaked was the day before festivities started. Some people were starting early, and somebody was just driving by on a motorbike and got a full bucket onto them. And I just thought that's so unexpected when you're driving by. What if they got into an accident? What if they fell down? These are things that I don't know, just more lax out here, I guess. But yeah, I had a really great time. Looking forward to it again, and we'll be thinking hard about what type of water gun I get next year, because I've seen a lot of things that seem a little unfair. Yeah, it's
high pressured,
extreme high pressure guns. Sometimes it's unfair, but I was surprised how how much water and buckets, and people are ready to refill unlimited ammo for your water gun everywhere you go. So we're pretty well organized. And speaking about entire families, just driving by, families coming together, and they all have I remember being in my tuk-tuk ride, and just every single person in the family threw a bucket of water on us. I don't know, it's just cool to see people, coming together, having a good time. But there's a lot of happening here at the Bitcoin Learning Center. We spoke briefly about expansion last time, and the 3rd floor, some of the videos. I put up the video, the reel, showing what was happening there a couple of months ago. I just want to ask you about how that's going, and the extension of Bitcoin art happening here.
Cool. Well, the artists land tomorrow at noon or something. So that whole wall, when you come walking in, the big orange path to the Bitcoin Learning Center, they have 4 people. These are Bitcoiners that live down south that want to really contribute to some art here. They're going to have a 15-meter or 45-foot long big mural of the evolution of money, but in like a Lana, in northern Thailand, like kind of culture. So it shows like their dress, and then it shows from like, I wouldn't say seashells because we like it in the mountains, but like that whole evolution all the way to scanning, to credit card, to Bitcoin. Super cool. And then the third floor, maybe again after this we could go see. I haven't seen the third floor in a couple, maybe a week or so. And it's there's people working constantly. As you start seeing, it's pretty crazy. Like when I walked in today, it sounded like there's a concert on the third floor, which is good. Like we want them to be happy. Wait, it's a tough job. It's in Thailand, building on the third floor, outside stuff. So yeah, so the third floor is growing great. We have some other new additions that we could talk about too, like personnel. So like if I look at it from what changes physically before we get into like all the other action we're working on, I would say like we got a new gate. I've been pretty serious about getting a new gate. I want a new gate, and I eventually really want to get it to be electric gates so everyone could have clickers. So that's been like a big thing, because eventually, once it's electric, then we're going to have a little pad for you to scan like one sat to open it. So visitors could see a sign if they can't reach us that they could spend, because someone randomly could walk in here right now. Like that's not uncommon, but so it's cool, but it also could be a little disruptive. So we want to have like a cool little thing that they could pay with Lightning to open the gate, just 1 or 2 sats. So that's like my evolving thought with that. So with the building, the structure, those are our latest things that I can think about right now.
Okay, cool. So to clarify, you said it's going to be a 45-foot mural in the alley coming down to the Bitcoin Learning Center. That's really cool. So when will that commence?
It's going to be done over 3 days from the 19th.
A piece of art can be made in 3 days?
4 people. The paint's from like a Home Depot. Like it's a pretty big project. And then also we're going to invite like other artists to contribute outside of that, but this will be the first one, and then we'll have some cool Bitcoin art on the way in.
Wow, very cool. So lots of plans. That's great. So just wanted to jump into the Bitcoin Thai community and attracting people to the Bitcoin community in Thailand. What strategies seem to work best?
Okay, so for the first like 6 months, it was dominant international, and it didn't really mix because most Thai Bitcoiners many Thai Bitcoiners aren't fluent in English. So they're a little hesitant to interact. It just didn't feel like their own. But in January, there was Block Mountain. I think that was somewhere around the time that you and I had done a podcast. Prior to that, in December, we flew up those people from Nostr. They came, and that had kind of built a bond between our team and the big Bitcoin team in Bangkok. That kind of broke the seal. And then in January, they all come up for Block Mountain. So there was almost 40, 50 people that had the building. So the thing was, give them the building. This is their Thai. This is their event. Like they're Bitcoiners. Like this is the right thing to do. So we had them come for that. And then that really like opened the door. Like they started to see what we're doing. They're like, wait, what's going on? Like they hear what we're doing, but they don't recognize like we're super chill. We're on the same team. We like really want to see everyone, flourish together. So from there, we had a huge meeting, a weekend one. So we had an international day and a Thai day. So they felt comfortable. And it was a pretty big event because there were maybe 875 Bitcoiners came here. I think you had just been in Vietnam. I think you might have just missed this one.
I think so. I was over getting my DTV. Yeah.
Talk about that. That's great. I'm so glad that you're here. The Halving Report needs to be here. I'll talk about it a little bit later. Yeah. So what's really great is that we had over 50 Thai people come for the Thai Bitcoin Day. And like 12 of them are really strong. They got around. They're like, dude, what's all this? Like, kind of have like podcast equipment. Like he's good at this. She's good at that. He's good at this. Like, what if you? So they all came up with this whole plan. Like, let's start a Thai Bitcoin podcast up here. Obviously, like, yeah, like do whatever you want to do. Just the flexibility of us being able to be like, hey, listen, we're trying to build community here. We're in Thailand. Okay. Like if you look at the population of Thailand, it's 75 million people. And 3 million of them are expats. Like, if you look at the expat community, like 17% are teachers in education and 21% are retired. So that's the teacher part might be okay. Like, those are people that want to learn, they educate, they might be good help for Bitcoin. But when you look at the big picture, like this is the Bitcoin Learning Center in Thailand, and it's great for the 75 or 100 of us, but we're in Thailand. So, if you look at a pie chart and you look at like just that 3%, the whole thing, like our whole, the whole target is Thai. So we wanted to embrace them. We want to give them all the tools, all the resources, and all the love and all the respect and everything for them to embrace this, and this be the headquarters in northern Thailand, and even in Southeast Asia. So that's formulated to now there's a 53 Thai in the Thai group, and there's about 75 of us. In the Telegram group that you and I are in, there's only about 50 because some people don't use Telegram. They're not in there. I could just think of a few off the top of my head, but I still think they haven't caught up. But I think our time is coming.
Yeah, it seems like you guys are pushing a lot there. And you mentioned the Thai Bitcoin podcast, and just the Thai community in general. What unique factors about Thailand do you think culturally or economically has that Bitcoin appeal to them, do you think?
Well, I think a major thing is the wages don't move much. So, salaries and wages, you see, like it says it might increase 3% per year, but like it's not the truth. Like if you ask a Thai person if their wages changed from last year, there's a chance it didn't. Unless they're in like a very established business. And inflation, as I show people in in universities, we'll show them like the price of pork, and we'll show them the price of rice and eggs and oil for cooking is up 150% over 4 years. So I'll show a chart on the screen to the kids where it looks like an alligator, like a big, like here's your wages and your increase in salary, and then here's like inflation. So I think like in Southeast Asia, Thailand specific, this is like, Bitcoin is a massive tool that could help them hedge against this inflation or save. So we teach it as a savings tool. On another economic side, which we're starting to crack open with the city and the government lightly, is by mentioning that they have more power they generate more power than they use in the north. So like, it's a big education thing. This whole thing is about education. You can see where I'm going with this. We want to open that door too, and even just discussing that, it's like education is needed. So on the local Thai people, Bitcoin is also a huge thing. In August 1st of 2024, Thailand launched the CBDC program for like 10 million people. They gave them 10,000 baht each, and it was a small subset of people that earned a certain amount of money, below a certain amount of money, didn't have enough savings in the bank, and the stipulation was it couldn't be used for all like alcohol, cigarettes, whatever, and it had to be used within a 4-kilometer radius, and it had an expiration of 6 months. So like, this is terrifying. So like, education now is more critical than ever before. So we're like at the point that we said, okay, we need to get some other people involved to help us grow. Thai people that are really strong in Bitcoin. So to kind of segue into how this could help the economics and the local culture and the broader picture is we've had a couple of these strong Bitcoiners that come in from that Thai community, and we're recognizing where their strengths are. They're helping lead classes, they're teaching about self-custody, they're teaching about solutions, and I'm luckily here able like watching some of this in the background, and I'm like, okay, like, does that person speak a little English? And English isn't required. It's just like everything else is like through translation. So it would be nice to be able to have a conversation about the vision and see how we could work together. We saw someone that's so strong. We saw 3 of them that were super strong. Been in Bitcoin 3 to 5 years. They've all got degrees, and that's like a very like notable thing here. I personally don't have a degree. I don't think you don't need one, but that Western way is a little different. So we had just recently created a position for a director of education and outreach to go and speak with different communities to help educate as many people as possible before it's too late, and mention on the CBDC side, or mention just what digital assets are and lead into Bitcoin, so it could be like more than one class. It's not just like, we've had multiple corporations reach out to us about educating their team. I'm not sure we're in the best position to put someone into a organization and teach it with great confidence. I think everyone's on their journey here, but there are people, and it's an opportunity to possibly reach out to a couple of strong people from the north, and they could help us with this initiative.
Yeah, I think that would be a great initiative to, basically implant your seeds into corporations. Now you're talking Thailand corporations here. Yep. So you're kind of maybe grooming these people to eventually go into that space as well.
Yes.
Wow, that's really huge. So just touching upon the university and, how maybe degrees mean sometimes a lot in some cultures, sometimes not so much in others. It doesn't mean you can't find your own ways. But how do you approach university students? Are they more inclined to be interested in the, say blockchain mechanics of Bitcoin, or maybe more of the financial sovereignty end? What are you seeing here?
So far from my experience, these classes were created by the professors working with our team. So I'm not really sure the students had much of a decision-making process in this. So it's great that at least 3 major universities opened the door to learn about it. So they kind of gave us a little bit of a blank canvas. The major university in town, CMU, Chiang Mai University, they wanted it to be about blockchain and what blockchain is. So that's great. Opportunity to share the difference of the blockchains and then lead into Bitcoin however we think is most appropriate. The previous one was kind of like what is money? So they gave us more flexibility to choose our path. We're in a university next week. It's crazy that we're in universities, dude. It's crazy, right? And we are Stefan, the guy that does the Thursday nights. He's going to be teaching with me and Phi. I'm going to talk about 4 types of digital assets, lead to Bitcoin, and I'm going to get them on Aqua Wallet so they could experience using Tether and using Bitcoin. So I think that's probably a good idea to learn about the digital assets.
Yeah, definitely. So 4 digital assets, what are we talking here? Stable coins, CBDCs.
Say the 4 different types would be the digital commodity, digital token securities. So when you have Amazon or Netflix eventually get tokenized, and then the utility tokens or those meme coin tokens or the speculative stuff. So just to help separate that there's commodity, there's securities, there's stable coins, and then there's speculative gambling or potential use cases in other ways.
So I just want to shift to the Thai Bitcoin podcast, because that's really big. What topics will it cover, and will this be something that is appealing to newcomers or also seasoned, or kind of going for a mix?
I think they're going for a mix. Right now, they're finding their feet pretty well. They've attracted a lot of people that are Bitcoiners that are comfortable to talk. Starting out with engineers or people from different regions that have a big story to tell. I have 3 or so of the strong senior Bitcoiners that are coming to do the painting that are going to be on telling their story. They're building a Bitcoin learning center type thing in Pattaya. It's a group of them. So I know that that's part of it, but I think their approach is to find people that resonate with the average person. Instead of just trying to get influencers that are popular in Bitcoin, they want to find people that can be relatable, which is great. So we have young kids that are on that might not have a degree but understand Bitcoin really well, or how it's helped them in their community, or how it's helped them in their life. And these we found have been relatable, and we could see that performance metric by just in the views on these certain videos. So and we also have a new person. We've got quite a few people working here now since you've left, and one girl's job is to kind of do translation and some editing, so you could read along some of these if we can't read or listen in Thai.
That's really good. So you can cross over, get to other listeners. You guys just launched a podcast yesterday that you sent to us in the chat.
So you know how these are on delay. I think this was with Neo 2 weeks ago, or 3, something like that. Maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. They're kind of backed up. They got a lot of people going on, and they do it once a week. So, and there's editing and all the work that goes into this. So yeah, that was really cool. So with the Thai podcast, once a month, they want me to come on with an international person that understands Bitcoin well, that lives here in Thailand. So I could obviously see you're on the list. I haven't even asked you yet, but please join us. So I get to be in your shoes and I get to ask you some great questions. So sweet. So they really appreciate that. So there's once a month where Sunday, Win from the Human Rights Foundation is going to be here, and we are having a podcast with him. But one of the reasons they also asked me to do it is because, it's not my thing, but because I understand the topic well and I could speak in English really well. It's a perfect fit for me for international visitors or people that are stronger in English than they are in Thai, for me, instead of Phi being the host. So Phi does the English ones, but we prefer, if they're strong, been around Bitcoin a long time, I can really get into nuanced topics and really talk about things that I think they understand. That's the approach of the Thai podcast.
We'll have to put a link to it so we can get more people involved and listen to that, and get more Thai people involved, man, because Bitcoin is for everybody.
Thank you.
Collaborating with local government, obviously a big deal. I just wanted to ask you, how receptive are the Thai local governments, and what partnerships are you forging to integrate it into the local economy?
Perfect. So, okay, how we arrived here is to do our marathon and festival, we needed to get city approval. So like we had to like go to the city and tell them like what we're doing. And we had to go with our race organizer, and we had to go with our festival partner, and we had to go as the Bitcoin Learning Center, or the company name now here is actually Bitcoin Chiang Mai .co Ltd, or however the legal format is. So Bitcoin Chiang Mai came to the city and we're like, what is all of this? You know, and luckily we have a really strong connection with the new deputy mayor of the city, and he's very forward thinking. He's a young doctor here. He's also a very strong entrepreneur with a tech startup for hospitals all over Thailand. And he's now the new deputy mayor executive of the town. It's kind of like back in the West, like our municipality or our local government office.
Right. So he's not the mayor, but deputy mayor. So is that like second in command?
He's like, there's a couple like people that are been around for a while. They're like a little bit in between, but don't have the titles. I think they have more administrative titles. This division of the city, they're the ones that create governance for all of the city planning and all of the money that moves around and like what's going on. So if you want to do anything in the city, you've got to go through them. So he's been here. He's been on one of the podcasts. He's been exposed to what we're doing. He's educated. He understands it. He's a Bitcoiner. Like, he's bought Bitcoin as a hedge. What's so crazy is when we were in this meeting, and there's like 12 of us, the big boss comes down. Dude, this is during the earthquake. The meeting's at 1:30. We're there at 1:15. The earthquake happens at 1:25.
I saw your aftermath video.
Dude, yeah, so that's when this was. This was the first meetings. Oh, you know, but he comes in after. He was right after, and he's like, he walks in and he's like, he knows what it's about. He's like, what's the price of Bitcoin? Like, that's usually never talked about. You know, like, that's it. What's the, and I'm in translation because I have Eve translating for me the whole time, which is perfect. She's like, he just walked in, he wants to know the price of Bitcoin. I'm like, this is fucking great, you know, like, and so he did say to them, he's like, I'm a Bitcoiner, cool, carry on. Like, I'm going to go talk to my daughter. She lives in Bangkok right now, see how she's doing with the earthquake, and see if she's okay. Like, just walked in, heard this about Bitcoin. I'm a Bitcoiner. What's the price?
And just to clarify, this meeting was about setting up what's to happen in November?
Correct. These are for approvals, next level approvals. This is one of the latest meetings for the city. Now, there's so much going on. So now it's so much bigger than people think. Like they think Bitcoin Marathon and Festival. Like, oh, that's cool. That's like an event. But no, the city wants this to be like, they want us to help them with advancing the city in digital finance. Like, through all of the different arms and angles and partners and institutions in the city by educating them about basic savings. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, so they've got all these strong connections, obviously, because anyone that does anything has to go through them. They're saying, hey, we believe to make this city innovative and strong, we need to attract a lot of people. We need to attract young, smart people like yourself, Brad. Like, we need to attract businesses, investors. We need to make the city strong. And one way they want to do it is by bringing innovation to Chiang Mai. So they kind of said, listen, you guys really got a good handle on digital finance and what that looks like. And I'm like, all right, let's handle this all. Let's take a deep breath here. Like, this is a pretty great opportunity. Let's make sure we get an educator and someone that's at both their disposal and our disposal to educate on what Bitcoin is. So now that's why it's so important to hire this next position. So he or she could go around to all of these different city level organizations or entities or institutions. And they're giving us the green light to do this, like the stamp of approval. So it's like, well, we went from, hey, we're the Bitcoin Learning Center, having meetups, talking about self-custody, to like, in different floors of the Department of, tax or the immigration, or we could be we're in major universities now. The city's open to what we're doing. But I think of it like this. I look at it like we can protect them when the millennials of the world, like
Venezuela with that
president that had like the shitcoin or whatever.
Yeah. That was like the petro.
Something crazy. But the reason I mention it is because, like, at least we will be able to establish ourselves as helping the city understand this technology and protect them when the inevitable potential problems come, when someone says, here's millions of dollars. We're in Thailand, dude. I mean, it's, people will listen to the guy that's going to hand you a bag of money or something. So we at least can be, we have no motive. We just want to see Bitcoin work. We know how it helps with human rights. We know how it can help in Thailand. We know how it can help with the city. We want to be able to be like that line of defense. So that's kind of like...
I think that's a really good idea, and build that trust. That way, when someone does come knocking and say, hey, we have this great opportunity, they're going to say, hey, let's talk to our friends at the Bitcoin Learning Center. Let's talk to our connections there that we know have, been vetted,
Yes.
have been around, some people that we trust, and they're operating on a Bitcoin standard,
Yes.
Something that's going to be safe and long term for this country, right? We don't want Chiang Mai or Thailand to get rug pulled at all.
So I'm so glad that they give us that strategic advisory role in the relationship, and it's just such a blessing. So we have to prove ourselves and move quickly. We want to make some good headway here now. That's why we have to take on this position and have someone get further along so we could show over a year's time what that looks like.
Now, in the meeting, was there something that you were maybe nervous about asking about that you thought maybe wouldn't get approved that did, or vice versa?
Yes, all of it. So like there are so many different stars that have to align. Like, I mean, you just need, like, someone could just come and just say no, just no, because they're uninformed, or there's just so many ways that this could get shot down. But they're not just like, do what you want, field day at it. They're like, they're very thoughtful. They're very mindful. There's a very thoughtful approach in how this is executed. So like, even though it's the Bitcoin Marathon and Festival, it's going to be more under the city as like Innovate Chiang Mai, as part of their big collaborative, inclusive approach to building the city from a technology point of view, specifically digital finance, because technology is everything's technology. So from digital finance. So they didn't want to just go specifically for Bitcoin, because as they submitted our stuff for the next level to the council, which is like the province level, to get approved for some of the funding that we're asking for, you just can't be blasting like Bitcoin. Like this has to be like a thoughtful, digital innovation, because no one understands it. If they did, we probably wouldn't be, I'm not sure this podcast would sound the way that it sounds if everybody understood what we're talking about. So we have to be very thoughtful in our approach.
Does that kind of conflict with your own personal branding? Because when you start talking about maybe digital finance or blockchain or all these other buzzwords that businesses or Web3 like to use, does that somehow conflict with your Bitcoin ethos at all?
I'm very understanding that everyone comes from somewhere and they've been infected by that. I don't know if that's a proper word, but they've been touched in some way and they have some misunderstanding. We just have like a position of, we're here to unwind you from how you possibly might have thought and show you why. But just like with like facts, like be kind, I came from that world. I didn't know. I was going down the wrong path, man. So I have to be very open to that. And like my ethos doesn't matter, and like Bitcoin doesn't care. Like what matters is how can we help the most amount of people? And if that means that they want to understand blockchain or Frogcoin or what other these things are going on, or these different Web3 token things, like you'd be surprised as soon as you explain it to some people, they're like, oh wow, yeah, I don't want to be involved in that. Or are you, some people, are you a trusted source? Everyone's different and everyone comes from everywhere else, and I'm foreign, so I am best at getting stronger people around me. That's how I did it in my business in America. It's still going today. I'm now doing the same approach here, where I'm going to get stronger educators so they could field those things about how the ethos and such might affect them.
So we've mentioned the Bitcoin Marathon a couple of times yet, but just for the viewers that aren't aware of what's happening, can you just briefly explain what is the Bitcoin Marathon?
Nice. So can you hear what's going on?
I can hear it.
A little bit. We're building. I can hear it. Yeah, it's great. So the Bitcoin Marathon and Festival, it's the world's very first Bitcoin half marathon. Never been anything like it. So it's happening in November, on November 2nd. But we knew that not a lot of people run. It's just not common. But in Thailand, marathons are very common. So we wanted to make sure we had something for everybody. So we decided to have a festival the day before. The reason it's day before is because on Sundays, most Thai people are available. A lot of Thai people work 6 days. So the marathon's on Sunday. And then the festival is on Saturday. And Friday just happens to be October 31st, which is the Bitcoin white paper release day. Halloween. So we're going to have like a 500 person party for Bitcoiners that are in town. We expect about 500 Bitcoiners. It'll take place here and across the street. In addition, the city is already asking us to add a mini conference element to this, which I thought was a little bit too much for us the first year, but they want city officials and larger government to come to hear and listen. And this is a great stage and a great opportunity because we're bringing 10,000 people together and an additional 3,000 to 4,000 for the run. So this is a 15,000 person event. So it's a great opportunity. So the city suggested that we have either at like the large university or at one of the big hotels, a conference that is suitable enough for someone as big as the Prime Minister to come share about this. It's super.
So this is being talked about right now. This isn't completely planned yet, but the city's asking for it. And so you would fit this in before the marathon?
So this would probably be Friday of the marathon on the 31st or Thursday or worst case Monday. I know that the weekend, it's kind of complicated, the logistics of it with people's times and stuff, but I think that, it's going to be Friday or Saturday or Sunday after the marathon. But at the same time, there'll be other Bitcoin activities happening.
Sounds like a crazy major event. Like, do you have prizes lined up for winners of the marathon?
Yeah, they do. Like that's why we got the biggest, best race organizer to take control of this, because they have like levels. There's for females there's like 3 or 4 categories, for each, a winner for each, the 21K, the 10K, the 5K. There's like silver, bronze. There's different types of awards for the genders, and they each have different races, and they get like different shirts, and they get different medals or trophies. Or I think they might even win money. So what's really crazy for like the Bitcoin Marathon and Festival is it's not for Bitcoiners, like specifically. Like it's to expose as many people as possible to Bitcoin, to introduce Bitcoin, so to bring awareness to what is Bitcoin. So we're reaching out to sponsors about this, and they're like, they're looking at, they're like, this is your first time. Have you done this before? And I'm like, no, I haven't. Like, tell them straight up, like I'm talking to people in the West at 3 a.m. Like, no, but like I did in the West, we're in 24 markets. I get stronger people around me. We've got a race organizer. We've got a festival organizer. We've got the Bitcoin Learning Center. Now we have the city involved. So like we're trying to get steam to generate attention. We already have secured the title sponsor, which I think it's a little too early to share, unfortunately, because if you know who it is, I know you really want me to share about it, but they didn't tell me that I could or couldn't. I just, out of respect, I'm going to wait until they're like, things are signed and sealed and delivered. But it's super exciting to see that. And especially when that's signed, sealed, and delivered, it'll help give us more strength when we reach out to the next. Like, I've reached out to like Binance, like twice, like 3 times, like I don't know where you guys are. Like this is going to become your problem. Like, I've got 4 fucking spots left. Like, and we don't really care. Like, well, I'll have HRF. I'll have like bigger exchanges or bigger Bitcoin companies. I try to not like let myself get like disappointed about it. It's like, dude, we're doing this. This is happening. Like, there's, this is a lot bigger than people think. So if it's just our major title sponsor and maybe like a car company or some like high-end brand or like the HRF is supportive. They'll be stopping in a couple hours today if you're still here. In different exchanges, coin-only companies, we get to control the process. But I know, and like I'm kind of glad that one exchange didn't get the title, because the worst thing that I could have happen is like the event is themed Run for Freedom. Like, the humanitarian aspect of how Bitcoin solves these things for 8 billion people. Like, that's the product market fit. Yes, that's our total addressable market, is 8 billion people. So Run for Freedom is perfect for certain sponsors. I just didn't really want, I was like, I can't, I can't pick and choose. We're brand new in this game. You know, like if some big exchange wants to come and be the title sponsor, and then it's like all these flashy coins of like Mudang coin and Frog coin and Dog coin and all these confusing things, it starts to dilute the message and it makes it a little bit confusing. So I'm kind of glad that that's the only hint that I could give you, Brad, that it's not a colorful, shiny object exchange that's going to be confusing people. And luckily, there's only 3 slots left for the gold. So hopefully in time, I just lock those down, and then there's silver, and then there's like, sorry, I tried to tell you.
Right. Yeah, and we still have quite a while to go until the event.
Well, the problem is the race organizers are printing on shirts. There's a lot of these early things that everybody needs, and they need the promotional time to say who's where on the pyramid of sponsors. So I was like, hey, why can't we just do this all the way up until October? They're like, oh, this is why, like June, July. I'm like, all right, but for the festival, you know, so it's kind of it's a big thing, man. It's a city big. It's a thing with the city. It's a thing with the universities. It's with a race organizer. It's with a festival partner. It's with all of our collaborative efforts here at the Bitcoin Learning Center.
I think it's very important that Bitcoin does cross over into other communities and, you know, get that cross trust, right? If maybe some big time runners now might become interested in Bitcoin after seeing such a big event focused around this Bitcoin Run for Freedom theme, maybe orange pill a few Bitcoiners along the way. And I think it's inevitable that Bitcoin will eventually go into many, many more aspects of our life as it becomes, you know, maybe our the people's money of the world, whether that looks like, you know, just more decentralized or more an official strategic reserve or global reserve currency. You know, we'll see how that looks like over time. But so would you say then the logistical challenges would be your greatest challenge in getting this event going, or is there something specific in your mind that's like, this is a big challenge for us right now?
It's all challenging because it's new. It's in different language for me. It's expensive. You know, like it could range from anywhere in dollars from $300,000 to $600,000. Very expensive undertaking. So it's new, it's exciting, but like this is like the life that I chose. You know, along the way, if you look at like how many people internally are able to, it's really fascinating to watch our team become Bitcoiners. Like we talked about Neo earlier, like doing his thing. I watched it last night. Like, dude, these people are massively exposed. Like they cannot hide from it. Being here, working on these projects. So like they're not forced, but they're just so exposed. And, you know, it's cool to hear like just the team, like listening to a Thai podcast and I hear it's like a Bitcoin podcast. I can just hear it's a Bitcoin, like, oh, cool. Like they actually want to learn. So with challenges, there's many, but like with these small wins of like, you know, you're like, hey, how can I orange pill somebody? Like, can I orange pill 10 people so orange that they could go out and, you know, like, you know, it's pretty crazy. And then we're not sure the impact. You know, when you mentioned maybe a runner, I was at the gym yesterday. I was running lightly and I thought, you know, maybe we should like offer to support one of the top 3 or 5 Thai runners. Just be like, hey, we want to sponsor you. Do you have whoever doesn't have a sponsor? We're just this little small baby company, but maybe we could sponsor you. Maybe we could, hey, you run around events, maybe we could help like pay for entries or basic accommodation. And maybe this person, you know, like maybe they're younger, maybe that's a good thing to support.
Wow.
You know?
They win the race and they got Bitcoin Chiang Mai right on their
Something
shirt.
Something cool.
And all these people are Googling Bitcoin
Something
Chiang Mai
like
and
that.
they come by. And
Listen, this whole thing about all of this, it's like, we got to have fun, dude. You know, like you chose to leave Canada and come here for a different life, right? And you want to have fun. You want to enjoy it. Like Bitcoin has given us so much freedom to do what we want, just like you moving from the West to here. Like I believe that like the Halving Report is so perfectly positioned to be a great international podcast from Thailand because you're physically here. It's so different. Like, and you see like you're part of the community and it's so awesome to see that we could do this here and like you're comfortable here and like you don't even need to fly back and grab like another piece of equipment. You're like, yeah, I got some stuff. I got some friends. So it's like, it's really, really cool. And I think that maybe there's some other like crypto podcasts in the islands and they're like, you know, on Zoom or whatever the product you use is. But like, that's different. Like you're a physical Bitcoiner with a physical podcast physically in Thailand. That's got legs. And dude, I was just watching your podcast a little bit. I watched an earlier one And you said like, the Bitcoin halving price is 8,500. I'm like, dude, it's been around for a minute. It was 8,500. Watch it. That's last week. It was one of your earliest ones. You said, that's the halving report. Currently the price is 8,500. I'm like, dude's been around. He's been consistent. You know, you need the consistency with a podcast. You know, you care about it. We couldn't do this if I don't get paid. This only costs me money. So I don't want this, you know, this massive fucking project to just be overwhelming and I can't sleep at night like it. But it's not because we are very strong in our awareness of who we are and what we understand. And we're super dialed into just one specific topic that it's very natural and easy for us. And so we just stay in our lane and say, if people want to play with us, then they could play with us.
I like that philosophy, and I appreciate your words and acknowledging my presence for the last few years. And although like I do document, I know a lot of people will go back and delete old stuff or old tweets, maybe where the Bitcoin maxis used to like Ethereum, and they'll go back, but I keep it all up, and you can actually see myself progress over the years until I come to the eventually, I'm a Bitcoin only guy now. I only tell people. So thank you for that. Now you mentioned something about this cloning Bitcoin Thailand, which I had you explain to me prior, so I had a little bit of knowledge coming on before, but I want to know, what you mean by cloning yourself in Bitcoin and what that looks like.
I say this. I say get to your 1 year's worth of your very best salary, which means take your whatever year you've been working. I mean, this is hard for students, but let's say you've been working for a while and you've had a really good year. Whatever year was your very best year in income, that should be your goal. But here's the good news. We want you to save just to get to half of that. So let's just use an easy number for your viewers, 100,000, which is just an arbitrary number. 100,000 here means $3,000. It doesn't really work, but it's close. Crazy enough, 100,000 Canadian, that could work. So you get to 50,000. That's the goal. The target is get to 50,000. So now you filled up the guy to the left of this black silhouette. There's another black silhouette, but he's half orange. And now next year, just the compound annual growth rate or the annual return rate is going to make him fully orange. So now you have this clone. You've got orange you, silhouette you, right? Now next year, it's going to grow again. Now you've got 2 orange clones of you, and you're still working. And now you're like, wait a minute, these 2 clones are growing 50% a year, which not even Facebook, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, they're not doing this, right? So you're saving in your clone. You've got now 2 of them, and now you're still working. And now if you just continue this path on average, that it's going to, 2 of those guys is going to make another 1 clone next year. So if you have a long vision of like 4 years or 7 or 10 years, you create a team, kind of like a football team. And then if you don't want to work, you don't got to work because you got your clones working. You know what I mean? So you gotta, so you get to, if it's 100,000, you get to 50,000, let it do its work. Let it get there on its own. Build an orange clone, and then you could start working on things that you enjoy, or you could tell your boss to fuck off. Like if you feel like you're not being taken advantage of, or you feel like you're being overworked and you really want to get out, well, you've got 3 clones and they're stronger than you no matter what you do.
I love the analogy there, and I think it's important to know it's based around the idea of compound interest and working for you, the 9th wonder of the world, as Einstein said, I do believe. And it's a really cool image, and I think that's something that will stick, and maybe see that image develop in like more detail, or like that explanation will just grow. I think it's a really cool thing. People should really understand that because it's so true once you have that money in there. But one thing to note too, I think about it, is you got to hold, right? Because you get that, what did you say, 65% average compound interest? That's, you got to remember that's an average over the years where you might get drawdowns, right?
That's a great point. If you look at 2024, when Bitcoin was up 150%, or 150%. And in 2023, Bitcoin's up 125%. So you just had those. So your clones didn't even get a chance to put their clothes on. They're already just orange. you know, in just those years. So you could have, like Brad's saying, you could have a down year, but you didn't have two 60% years in a row. You had 125 and 145. You're fucking good, you know, but you have to hold. You can't be chopping away and picking. Just hold. Try to spend as little as you need of your Bitcoin as you need, if that's where you're at.
Foresee diminishing return, like great diminishing returns over the next couple of years, or you think we're part of that curve where like mass adoption where we're gonna see some serious growth, not like early days Bitcoin growth, but like we're still gonna see some super exponential growth?
You know, it's really hard to answer these questions as humans in these shoes. You know what I mean? Like the hockey stick and where we are on the curve. Like we're just like an ant. We kind of think we know. We got some good ideas. We've heard some stuff we think's that like really sings with us and like is in harmony with who we think we are.
But did you see? I think it was Binance that in the news with Binance right now that they say they're in talks with multiple nations about a national Bitcoin strategic reserve, and that's kind of what I'm alluding to is nation state adoption. It would be absolutely, and we're seeing corporation adoption, multinational corporation adoption as well. I'm asking if maybe that will offset the diminishing returns. Very difficult question, but just wanted to see what your brain dump on that was.
Yeah, I think, you know, and obviously us watching or listening to this have seen sailors like diminishing returns to like 15 over 20 years, and in 20 years his estimate's like 20% over the S&P or 15% over the S&P or like 25%. So maybe so let's just say it's 25%, arbitrary. I don't have it in front of me, but so we go from 65 and then over 25 years. So we still got plenty of these 50%, 60. Last year we had 150%. The year before we had 125, where we flip those around, just 125, 150. Like, even if it's just 50% for like 10 years, 5 years, just look at that compounding growth there. You're 100,000, now you're 150, now you're 225, then you're 375. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
So you get to big numbers really quick. I think everyone's catching on to this. It's so crazy because we've been so worried about not having enough Bitcoin for so long. We're like, it's gonna run today. It's gonna run tomorrow. Because we've only experienced when it does, it goes kind of crazy. And it doesn't really stop for like, remember it just goes for weeks and weeks and weeks and you're like, dude, this is fun again. I'm a genius. Wow, all that. So I think I really still think we're gonna finish out the year extremely strong. I believe it's gonna be over 200,000. I think on your other podcast, there's a little north of that.
You said your online price prediction was 150 and your offline prediction is 275.
Okay, so 175, 150, and 275. So I think I'm right there at 200. But a lot of this is also like I am really like in the echo chamber, you know, just trying to survive and keep my brain, make my own thoughts without having too much out of the influence, because I spend all day on the topic. Obviously, that's what I want for everybody. In many ways, it's great that there's still an opportunity to purchase Bitcoin at the price that it's at, because it still has such room for substantial growth before we get to the million and 2 million and it slows down. But that's why I'm healthy. Like, I want to see how this helps people. Like, you know, everyone says like Bitcoin fixes this. Well, then like be part of that. And that's why we're doing like the Bitcoin Marathon and Festival. That's why we're going to that's why we're going to universities. That's why our outreach is now into small city government. That's why our outreach is into corporations and institutions. Like, you know what? Like, okay, well, if Bitcoin fixes it, well, then you go fix it. Be part of that. Like, you have a podcast. You've got a great voice. You're broadcasting this information. You've got great guests. You put it together really well. Like, you're part of Bitcoin fixing it, you know, and we want to be part of that too. So I think before it gets to a million, we don't want to have regret. Like, you're going to look back and say, dude, how could we have gotten like 10 more people on the arc? How could we have done it, Brad? What did we do wrong? But I don't go to sleep at night thinking that. I go to sleep saying, dude, we're doing it here. Like, just in the last 3 months or 4 months since I've seen you last, all of this has been happening, you know, and the next 6 months is going to be pretty powerful too. And then before you know it, we'll have the Bitcoin. But maybe you could do a podcast from the Bitcoin Marathon and Festival, like with the background all big, for sure. That elusive title sponsor in the back.
Yeah, man, I'd love a premium setup at the Bitcoin Marathon.
Totally. Why wouldn't you? You know, tons of people. And like, what do you experience? Like, you see, like in Thailand, people are happy, right? Like, Is it really the land of the smiles from your experience, 6 months being here or more?
Definitely. I've never felt safer, more inviting. People are friendly. People more adapt to me than they should. I should be more adapting to their culture, but they adapt to me more. Like, they're just so willing to help out and smile. That's for sure.
So imagine having all that in the back of your podcast where everyone's having fun and it's at a pretty fun festival. So that's kind of our vision, our goal, and hopefully you could help us make that come true.
Yeah, no, I'd love to be a media partner and come on through and, report on the full thing. So we should talk about that.
Yes, let's do that.
I want to ask you about if there's any more details. So we talked about the Thailand, the Phuket pilot program on the first episode we did together, and possibly coming to Chiang Mai secondly. And has there been anything released or any updates on that?
They're extremely quiet on that. The ministry, they're keeping that pretty close. I track it daily on the alerts that I get. I just set up like an alerts for Bitcoin Thailand. So that's cool if you don't know how to do that, it's kind of cool to see like on just email. Google alerts. So, and then from who we know, there's not, but like, we're not waiting for that world. We're going to create that world. And this event is getting enough steam. And that's the goal, is to market this event to say, do you have a position on this? And if you don't, that tells us something. And if you do, that tells us something. So here you are, and you're invited. And if you want to come and help Thailand become the leader in digital innovation, we're creating an event for you. So take advantage of this before, this can slow down CBDC. This can amplify or speed up Bitcoin adoption. But whatever everyone's going to do, we're going to do what we're going to do anyway. So come play with us or don't, like not an ultimatum. I'm just saying there's a really fun game out here that's helping millions of people. And it's a savings technology, and it could help on a corporate level, and it could help on a personal savings level. There's so much magic packed into Bitcoin that truly, if this opportunity is for leadership to show that they understand it or to show that they don't understand it, but along the way, we're going to be building leadership that are going to take those positions that do understand it.
Where exactly will people be running during the Bitcoin Marathon?
Cool. We have a map. It starts out Powell Park, which is absolutely gorgeous after it just rained the last few days. For you to go with your girlfriend, walk around. There's 4 massive lakes. It's outside overlooking these huge Doi Suthep mountains. Beautiful green mountains right now. It's such a great time to go because they're going to start burning again. Typically, traditionally, after this holiday, they don't work. So get out there today. It's going to start there. It's going to run through like this little elephant sanctuary, and it's going to go over the bottom of the mountains and around another lake. It's the first half marathon in Chiang Mai in 30 years since they started that they're closing the roads for all of the run. We just finalized the shirts. The medals are super cool. The back of the medal has the block number for the date.
The anticipated
block number. Whatever we arrive at on November 2nd is the one. Yeah, but the race map Neo is putting on today because we've had other people ask about that, and so he's going to get a chance to put that on the bitcoinmarathon.org website. Yeah, it's been such a wild ride, but we need to work extremely hard to get 10,000 people and 3,000 runners.
Now, will the 5K runners be exposed to as much beauty as the half marathon runners, and what will be the cost to register and run?
So I think it's 500 baht, so like $15 for the 5K. And it's 800 baht for the 21K, so like $25 currently right now. I think the prices might go up. Like, this is the early bird pricing right now. I think that goes up like 10% or something at the end of the month. But they were going to have it be just different colors for different groups, like the 21K, 10K, 5K, but I was like, that's not so inclusive. Let's just keep it all this one color. So there's like finisher shirts they get the medals, back and forth. The design's been crazy. Like initially they had like their vision, which was like run to the moon. And I'm like, dude, this is like crypto bro, man. I'm not trying.
Yeah, you're flirting the line there.
Like, I want run for freedom, so we got to back that up and like remove your moons, and no one's running to the moon. Come on, but I appreciate that they're.
It's different for everybody.
It is different for everybody, but I appreciate them wanting to understand what it is we're doing. So it was it's the race people trying to merge with us. So There's a lot of education. That's why we are a learning center.
Right. Yes. It's a good angle to take. So I want to ask you, what would be maybe a lesson that you would give to somebody else like yourself trying to start something similar in another country?
I'm so glad that you asked that question, because you have to be self-aware enough to realize that you and others that speak your language that don't speak the official language are going to have a very difficult time if you're just an expat in a country. You need cooperation. If you want to execute on things, you need the locals to help you to build, from questions to anything that you're going to do. You first of all, you need to like be willing and able to do this as a passion project, not look into it as like you're going to make money, trade money for like impact. That's kind of like what you're going for. But like, there's no way. Like, if I try to do this with like a few of the Western people, we would be not able to do it. And if you're you can't lean on friends like you meet, like, help me with this. You need consistency. Like, to build a community, you need consistency. You need to have an environment where people can rely on. That's what it's going to always be like. So you have to hire people. Now it's expensive. Now, I mean, luckily we're in Thailand and it's not as expensive if you have a Western income or where you're at. But these are like, if you're going to build a community, if you want to do this, you have to start small. You have to integrate the locals, because you're cool, but you're not nearly as cool as the locals. Like, this is their home and we are visitors. And once you recognize that, once you truly understand that, then you embrace that and you have your team be Thai. Like, we will never hire an expat to work here, because it just doesn't do anything. Like, we could partner with like someone for something or something, but like to hire on staff, like Neo would be the closest. Bridget, because he's been in Thailand for 10 years, understands Thai, he could speak Thai, he's international. We need one bridge that's a Bitcoiner that gets it. But really, if you're building a community, you could do it. Don't be dissuaded by my scary words. Just incorporate the community and know that you cannot do it without the community. Like, if you want to build a community, you need the community that you're physically in. Does that make sense? Like, it's not just the expats, the digital nomads, the 3% of the people that live here. If you're going to build a community, embrace the local community, but don't just choose like the expat community.
Well, and I mean, like, expats coming here and like you said, like, it's not going to do a whole lot for you, right? Too, and like, they're used to maybe, getting wages from the Western world, which are much higher too. So like, you're trying to, it's just a lot of different things to consider there.
But we love like educating the Western. We love introducing. We know a lot of people live here and we're happy. But if your goal is to reach as many people as possible, then you should do it in the native language of the country that you're standing in my opinion. I'm not saying you can't, just because 17% of expats are teachers, that's a great subset that could be targeted, and you could really build a great Bitcoin community with that. So my way is not the only way. I'm just sharing from what I believe.
Right. Right. Have you ever thought about maybe, or I'm not sure, maybe you're already doing this, but with your new edition of your merchant onboarding program, maybe selling it to merchants, that we have this massive Bitcoin Marathon Festival coming up where Bitcoiners from all over the world are going to come here and they're going to want to spend Bitcoin. So if you're not accepting Bitcoin when this marathon is happening, you could lose thousands of dollars.
We are definitely planning on having Bitcoin payments at the festival as of now, and having like a flag like that on top of the food stall that says Bitcoin accepted here, or Bitcoin Lightning, like a logo, the accepted here one. Again, like, we can't force people to understand it. We could just say there will be people trying to learn how to use Bitcoin. It's a fun opportunity. We did partner with Neutron in Vietnam. It's that Neutron Pay app that we talked about, where it's great for Canadians and it's great for Vietnamese, and for Thai, you can convert your Bitcoin into Thai baht instantly. And if you don't use it, you definitely should. We have a great connection.
Is that the one where you, instead of using the Thai scan, QR scan?
No.
That's a different one.
This is different.
Okay.
They just opened up Neutron Lend. Anyway, the thing is, when you do sell your Bitcoin to baht, it's a 300 baht minimum to transfer to the bank. There was a fee of converting baht to, there is a fee to convert your Bitcoin to baht. which is 70, if you're Bitcoin to fiat to understand this, or Bitcoin to Canadian dollars, there's it's like 70 baht. It's like $2. So we saw this as a challenge. We reached out to them. They were super welcoming to, if we submit like an Excel sheet of who we do on board with the merchant program, that they will single out that company, go in manually and put it at 0 for 1 year. So it's an incentive for these merchants. So we want to try to alleviate any of these friction points because they're just getting into Bitcoin. We want them to be able to off-ramp when they want to off-ramp. We want them to have no friction and want them to be able to do it themselves without us. And then hopefully between now and 6 months from now, we'll have maybe another group. Because right now in Chiang Mai, there's only really 4 or so places that accept Bitcoin.
Okay. No, I think that's really important that you're removing those frictions, because the last thing you want after telling a company or somebody that, Bitcoin gets rid of the middleman and has all these great things, and then they're getting chinched all along the way, right? So super important work that you're doing there. Looking ahead, future plans and strategic moves. We talked about, you're doubling the team, you're hiring the director of strategic education and outreach, merchant onboarding. But what's currently on your plate right now, Jimmy? Are you going to Bitcoin Tokyo?
Yes. This is a great question. We have what day is it? In 1 week, in four or 5 days, we've been invited to Tokyo Bitcoin base, which is like similar to, they have a 4-story building in Tokyo that is ran by Folger Ventures, which they work with anyone that's like a startup in Lightning, Bitcoin Lightning. They've also supported a lot of companies like Plan B. I'm wearing a Plan B shirt. The Human Rights Foundation they work with a lot of Bitcoin companies in Japan, and they've created, I'm not sure if it's co-living, co-working environment. It's also a studio. It's a learning center. It's an incubator. It looks like it's about 4 floors. I haven't really saw much more because we're getting it's like a grand opening, but that's coming up on Wednesday. So we're going back there. We've been invited by Taruko. She's been here a few times. It's really cool to start seeing like different names that are going that have been here. There's like people from Switzerland, from France, from America, that just have like made their way through here. Like we've actually quite made a name for ourselves. And if you look on the map, other than like Bali, I think that we're the largest Bitcoin physical learning center within 3,000 kilometers from here. I don't know about anything in India, but like in Asia. So they would be having the next big one, which is so inviting. It's like, we need more Bitcoin podcasts. We need more Bitcoin education. We need more physical Bitcoin locations. So we're so excited to go up and support them. Then going around, every June I go to Switzerland. I'm going to go to Lugano and check out their Bitcoin location this time. And then I go to America to see family for 1 month of the year. After that, I'm going to come back and take the team to Bitcoin Asia in Hong Kong, all while building out the Bitcoin Festival Marathon during that whole process. Bitcoin Hong Kong in Asia is pretty cool. It's direct flight from here. It's at the end of August. Bitcoin will be well over 100,000 by then, so you should come along. I hope. No, and so then we get back from Hong Kong. I think only 4 of us are going to go the first week in September. Then we're going to fly down to Bali. Bali has their small little village conference. They have like Bitcoin Bali House, and then there's like a whole big area where they're doing such great work down there. So we want to support everyone in Southeast Asia that's in the Bitcoin community. So that's kind of just looking ahead on the broader macro regional. We're still doing our research. We're pushing forward our formal Bitcoin academic research, which a lot of people are interested in. And yeah, there's quite a bit going on. So we have Win from Human Rights Foundation coming. He just landed 5 minutes ago, but he'll be coming on Sunday. We're doing a chat from 10 o'clock about his crazy story. Burmese dissident left. They shut off his bank accounts. They tried to put him in prison. He luckily made it out. They shut off his bank accounts. Only had Bitcoin. It's a crazy story. Oh, bro, geez. All right. Let me go from like airplane down to zero, down lower. So we have that happening Sunday, and then at like noon, we're having a community leaders meeting. So if you're around, the city deputy mayor will be here HRF, see how we could help Human Rights Foundation with Bitcoin. He'll be here. It's kind of cool to see. It's just like 7 to 10 of us. So I don't know if, if it's available your schedule to talk about it after. We also have May 17th and 18th. This is so cool. We're having another big meetup. A lot of people still are not around because of the smoke, because it's not always this great, but we'll still have 50 international, but it looks like we're going to have 50 Thai, at least 2. But they have their day and we have our day, but we opened it up for the Thai to join International Day. And a lot of them are much more cool with it now because they kind of know how we flow. They know we're just like them, and they're not as nervous to like, and there will be so it's so exciting. So on the 17th of May will be our international one, which you're coming, right? Yes. And I know there's already 25 people that said they're coming. That's great numbers early. It's decent. We'll definitely have 50. Our lead sponsor will be here. You get to meet that person. Yeah, that's cool. I don't want to talk too much about that. And then
Please,
that person,
go ahead.
he or she will be here also the following day. They will be here to see like how real this whole thing is. So that's really inspiring. Be catered again. It'll be our biggest event. And we'll get to see upstairs. So we're pushing upstairs to be. Are we going to go again? When's this over? Can we make a tradition about like closing down the podcast?
I'm down to go check it out, but I do want to ask before we do that, just to go into like current Bitcoin, because we've seen some price fluctuation now. When like I said earlier in the pod, it was 95, now it's 85. We've seen as low as 75 in the past week or so. Just wanted to ask you like how that price fluctuation impacts, from what you've seen, impacts the local Thai community here, and is it just more of a distraction, do you think?
From the Bitcoiners that come here, they all know to just buy at whatever price. They all learn like that's an opportunity, like that's cool, because we've got them off on the right foot instead of freaking out and stressing out or over leveraging and buying more Bitcoin than you need and then having to sell. And so like, I believe from my experience, what we did when it went down to like 75, remember it went down like a month ago? I don't remember. It went down like 75 like a month ago. Well, that was like 5 days before payday. So I talked to like the team in accounting and I'm like, hey, could we get everybody paid a little early so they could stack sats right down here? So that's a cool thing we were able to do. We can't always do that.
That goes a long way, man. That's like 5 for 10% on your money, man. That's a great thing to do.
Super cool thing. So we try to do the cool things we can, and that fluctuation, it matters in a positive way. Like, don't let that thing run away yet. Like, we're still stacking. We still need to get everybody on the ship. But I don't think this is going to last. I mean, I think this chops about at its end. I think we're just one tariff positive or one new, GameStop. I think we're just on the brink of just anything could happen, and with so much uncertainty and gold ripping, like gold has been ripping, and we've always seen gold is like telling about the underlying conditions of the market, the global markets, and what is it screaming at us. And we see that the ECB has just reduced rates. We see that typically the US follows. I just think it's like one rate cut or one tipping point that's just going to be like gone. I don't think we're gonna get this opportunity.
I see a lot of corporate people, Trump, for calling for lower rates. I agree with you. We're just like 1 or 2 things away from seeing a 20% explosion overnight, right? And that's usually kind of how it works, right? Like Bitcoin went from like I feel like 68K last year to like 100 in like a couple months, like very, very quickly. So that's why it's super important to be in Bitcoin and stay in Bitcoin, because Bitcoin makes most of its gains in like 10 days a year, right?
Less, yeah. Like I think you can break it down to like hours. It's like 10 days is a good answer. But like no, I think like in those days there's hours. But yeah, so like 10 days. But like bro, I just think that's it. I think we're coming up to an inflection point. If you look at like what just happened with the tariff war, and there was such fear. There was those blood market days where it was down 2,000 day after day, and it felt like the COVID low. But COVID low brought us 3,000 Bitcoin. Like this brought us to 80,000. COVID low went 20x.
Dude, it's crazy to me to think that in 2020 Bitcoin was as low as $3,800.
Yeah, $4,000, and it went 20 times higher. So if we 20x here, we're at 1.6 million. So we're not going to just go crazy and talk and say that we're going to 1.6 million. We're going to 1.6 million. But that's obviously in time. You know what, Brad? Every 10 minutes, the system gets stronger. It's another piece of this system that says hasn't been affected, hasn't been hacked, doesn't give a fuck. Like 10 minutes. So 6 times over this podcast, the system, it's like a big star in outer space coming, like massive, and it's just growing and getting stronger. So it's just an inflection point, a few little tipping things that are just going to ignite this, and I'm sure we're going to rock it. You know, I'm here for it.
Rocket
I'm ready.
ship, get on
I'm
board.
ready for the rocket ship. Get on board.
Oh man, that's great. Yeah, there's a lot of bullish news. I'm hyper bullish right now too. Another bullish indicator is we just hit new all-time hash rate as well. We've seen all these price follow hash rate as well.
And M2.
Money supply, yes.
Yeah, usually tracks that 6 weeks, and that's been like a crazy.
And just like the stability it's had through this chaos. It's really hold up well, and I think a lot of people are recognizing that and maybe seeing it more as a safe haven asset for a lot of people who are seeing chaos and turmoil in the world or uncertainty. So sweet, man. I'm gonna thank you for your time. We're probably almost at an hour and a half today, so
Really, I'm
we
sorry.
covered everything that I wanted to cover. Please don't
All right,
apologize. Cool. It's been great. Shout out to Neo for helping us out, set up everything here. Yeah, maybe we can go and take a look at upstairs. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Let's do it. Thank you.